Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the second episode of the Cheney Chat, the official podcast of the Tacoma Rainiers. I'm Rylee alongside Andy Helwig. We're your broadcast team here in Tacoma. Off to a great start of this season. We're pumped to be back. We are filming this now in Tacoma finally, and a couple games already happened here at Cheney Stadium, and this team, as advertised in our first episode, has been exciting to watch. They're off to a great start.
Yeah, we finally got an episode of the Cheney Chat at Cheney Stadium, 2 episodes in, but it's been a fun start, winning 3 of the first 5. Kind of what we expected to see, I feel like, from the team early on. Some pretty good pitching. The Patrick Wisdom living up to expectations so far. He's gotten off to a fantastic start. It's been fun, the bullpen. When we were in Arizona, I think we mentioned this in the first episode, everyone was really excited to see the bullpen, and they have been one of the best units in the league so far. So they've been great, and, if the Rainiers can pull out a couple more wins this week against El Paso, find themselves near the top of the standings after the first 9 games or so, and that's a good position to be in.
Yeah, we talk about the makeup of this team and just the excitement going into this year. Obviously, you talk about the bullpen, who's been excellent. We've seen Alex Hoppe a couple times now, 2 saves from him. He's looked excellent so far. You match that with Robinson Ortiz and Domingo Gonzalez. You also have Zulueta. This is a really solid group. Yeah,
and it was interesting to see how John Russell is going to piece the bullpen together, who gets the leverage innings, who's going to be the closer. And so far, Hoppe looks like that guy. 2 saves. He's brought the heat. His sliders looked filthy. He's got some really nasty swing and miss off of that. So it's lived up to the hype so far. And, and as this team continues to add some of the pieces back, at some point, Brennan Davis is going to rejoin the team. Victor Labrada is going to rejoin the team off the injured list. And so, at-bats are going to be hard to come by for some of these guys. This lineup's going to get pretty loaded. In addition to that, too, you think about Ryan Bliss got optioned down as well. So how all these pieces fit together, I'm not really sure how John Russell's going to do that. I don't envy his position, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, you talked about it there, but this is a really stacked lineup. When you look at it 1 through 9, even right now, Patrick Wisdom has been a big piece of that, and he's off to one of the best starts in a professional season for him so far and leads the league right now in home runs.
Yeah, 4 home runs in 5 games. He had 4 in the first 4, a multi-homer game back in Reno in the opening series. And that's kind of what I wanted to see, get Patrick Wisdom, a big power hitter, back in this league, in this elevation, and he's lived up to the hype. Everything he's hit has been well struck, 95 plus off the bats. And so a guy who's got a couple 30 homer seasons in this league, we're on pace for that and maybe, 50 more at where we're at right now. But it's been a really fun start to the season for him.
And you're just looking at the rest of the lineup, too. Guys like Brock Rodden, who's getting his first taste of AAA, started off, again, such a small sample size, so you don't even really call it a slow start. It was 1 game and then
drop the hot takes.
right. And then after that, though, he's been really fitting into this level well, and he's looked really good.
Yeah, and I think part of it, too, for him is he missed most of last year, right?
Yep.
So getting back into the flow of things at the highest level of the minor league, seeing some tougher, more experienced pitchers. So I think there's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but he struck the ball well. I think he's played great defense as well, former minor league Gold Glover. So he's been fun to watch over at second base, but that tandem up the middle of Colt and Brock has been really, really fun to watch to start the season.
Well, Colt Emerson, a headline once again. He was our first guest on the Cheney Chat in episode 1, and it's only been a couple weeks, but there has been a lot that has changed since that episode. His life wildly changing within the last week. He has signed an 8-year, $95 million extension with the Seattle Mariners, and all of that without even debuting with them yet. So just all around, such an exciting week for him. He is the most humble when he talks about it, completely unfazed when he talks about just such exciting news. But we've talked about it too, back and forth, the amount of confidence that he has to have now, just the relaxation knowing that this is a club that believes in you so much, wants to invest in you in this way, and sees you as a part of their future for a long time.
Yeah, and this was coming together really when we talked to him too, down in Peoria. Would have been nice if we got in the scoop maybe.
Sure.
We could have broke some news on the Cheney Chat. But, I mean, he's lived up to the hype of that deal so far. And then again, like you said, 20 years old, having that vote of confidence from the big league team, it just has to take such an enormous weight off your shoulders. But I think there's 2 sides to that coin, right?
Yeah.
Because everything he does now is going to be on a microscope.
Right.
And so good or bad, everybody's going to be watching him all the time. And it's interesting to see a lot of these young guys. They're getting locked up now.
Yeah.
Earlier on, Connor Griffin, it was just announced he's signing a massive deal with the Pirates, but his won't go into effect until after he debuts. So Colts still got the record as the time of this recording, but it's been interesting to see that development of the game. But yeah, I mean, good for Colts. I'm sure he's relieved that that's kind of out of the way now, and you can focus on baseball. And you talk about how humble he is. Every answer he gives, I'm focused on winning games in Tacoma right now.
Right.
Not worried about getting to the big leagues because everybody knows he's going to get there at some point.
Yeah.
When? Who knows?
Yeah.
But, he can just focus on winning games right now and being the best ball player he can be here.
We've seen him, too, this week in this series, playing at third base a couple times as well. And that's been an interesting development. He's looked really solid there.
Yeah, he's made some, really nice plays. Turning the double play, stepping on the bag at third, kind of throwing off body, going over to first. And he worked on all those positions, right? He told us, second, third, short, all familiar positions for him. But he's looked as smooth as could be at any of those spots. And, you hear quotes from Jerry DiPoto and other baseball ops people in Seattle. They think they could put him there if they need to, if the opportunity comes up. So they believe him. Yeah. It really just feels like a matter of time for him.
Well, shifting gears, another guy who is as solid defensively as they come, one of the best hitters in the league, back here in Tacoma, Rhylan Thomas. He joined us today, and exceptional stuff from him as always. We're pumped to have him be our second guest on the Cheney Chat, where we talked to him about a little bit of everything: his hot start in spring training, making his major league debut last season, what you might not know about what happens when a player does get traded, and so much more. His professional athlete girlfriend, what video games he's playing right now. We've covered all the bases in the Cheney Chat, so stay tuned. Rhylan Thomas after this.
All right, folks, time to welcome in today's guest for the Cheney Chat. Our guest today is a Ventura, California native, former USC Trojan, where he was all Pac-12 defensive pick, a former draft pick of the New York Mets, the 2025 minor league hit king, and the Mariners' number 23 prospect per MILB.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Rhylan Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. We're excited to have you back here, but already off to a great start. First, I want to talk about your spring, though. What a monster spring that you had. I don't even know if that does it justice. Just shy of a 500 average for you, 18 hits. What was it about this spring that was working for you so well?
Yeah, I think that, honestly, I put a lot of work in the offseason to try to create better results, not just hits, but harder, exit velocities, and I think I demonstrated that. But honestly, I think the warm weather helps, and I love playing in warm weather, so I think that might have had a little bit to do with it, is that my body felt really good and loose, and I just was able to have fun. And with spring, it's like, just get ready for the season, and the results really don't matter at the end of the day, but it turned out that they looked really good at the end, and I wasn't really striving to, hit that well, but I wanted to demonstrate that I did make adjustments in the offseason. I did, get stronger, and I'm able to impact the ball a little bit better this year. And so, yeah, it was great to just feel relaxed and let those results happen naturally.
Did this spring feel different for you? Because, going into this spring, you've made your debut, you're on the 40-man roster, versus last year, you're still trying to get to that spot. Did it feel different going into it this year?
Not really, no. I just wanted to make a statement, and I feel like I did that, and I wanted to demonstrate that I was ready to make an impact at the major league level whenever I get that chance again. And I know I did that. It's not really up for debate, which is a good thing. I left no questions about that, which was also a goal of mine. But at the same time, it was cool to just create a little bit more of a better relationship with the guys that are on the team, because I know them a lot better now. So that's the only difference, honestly, from last year, is that I was able to create a more tight bond with those guys, which is really cool.
You talked about it a little bit, but you're one of the best contact hitters in the league. But you mentioned impacting the baseball more this season. What is it about that that's important to you, or why is that your emphasis?
Honestly, because I can put the ball in play pretty much whenever and wherever on the field. Most of the time when I'm going well, and I wanted to, create, more extra base hits, not necessarily home runs, but more extra base hits where I'm not just, poking a ball on the left side of the field or hitting a single where on a pitch that I could do damage on. So it's more so on pitches that I can do damage on, doing the damage that I should be doing on those.
There's such an emphasis, it feels like, in today's game on hitting for power, pulling the ball in the air, those high exit velocity numbers. Do you feel like, in the last couple of years that contact style of hitting is becoming a lost art?
Unfortunately, yeah, I think that, it's not as respected as much as I would like it to be, but I think at the same time, you have to adjust to what the game is asking out of you and what these organizations are asking from you. And I don't think it's going to go away completely, but I think now there's going to be more of an emphasis on hitting the ball hard, not necessarily hitting extra base hits, although those happen naturally with, getting stronger and putting more impact on the baseball. But I think, hopefully there's enough hitters like me that continue to show up and continue to hit for average and high contact rates so that, the conversation never ends.
Did you ever hear any comparisons last year, just because of how little you struck out last year, how much you put the ball in play? Do you ever hear your name in conversations with a guy like Luis Arraez?
Yeah, Stephen Kwan and Luis Arraez are always the guys that I'm thrown into the conversation with, which is really cool because, I watched Stephen Kwan in college when I took a visit to Oregon State, so it was cool to meet him and see him, develop and turn into the player he is now. And Arraez, I've always kind of just kept it personal with myself to just be better than him in those stats because I know we're so similar in them. Granted, he's in the major leagues doing it, but at the same time, those are two just amazing players that are like me, and I want to be like them and succeed the way they've succeeded at the major league level. So it's really cool to get those comparisons.
Being from California in Ventura, what was your baseball upbringing like? As we look back now and kind of the development to where you're at now, what's the baseball scene like in California, the competition there?
Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. Growing up in high school and even in middle school, elementary school, the talent was crazy. And we could play all year round. So that's also why I got so much baseball. But in high school especially, I came in as a freshman and had a bunch of D1 commits on my team. I didn't really know what that meant. I was just trying to, get my feet wet in high school for the first time. But, yeah, the competition was crazy. There was guys that are playing professionally on almost every team now. So it's cool, and I think California just breeds professional baseball players out of high school. Now they do, at least, especially Southern California. So it was really cool, getting to see that and experience that in high school.
You played for Royce Clayton in high school, right?
Yes, I did.
So you're walking into high school, 16, 17, 18 years old. Royce Clayton, who had been in the big leagues, for a long time, beat out Ozzie Smith one time for an opening day job. Do you get starstruck, as a high school student, seeing him coaching the high school team? I
mean, he came in my sophomore year, and I didn't really know much about him. And I had, I think, who was it? Jeff Weaver, too, on the pitching staff. So it was just all of a sudden we have these major league veterans just coming in. And Royce was so good to me. He taught me a lot and taught me more so how to be a professional before I even got there, and how to go about my business in a way to get me to where, he ultimately got, which was a lot of years in the big leagues and a lot of success. And, he taught all of us just how to be better men than players. And I think that went a long way with a lot of my friends and a lot of my teammates. But yeah, seeing him just go about it and be available and take time out of his day when he doesn't need to do that to, just benefit or help teach the youth is just it was awesome. Made me want to run through a wall for him every single day. So it was really cool.
You got to stay in California for your collegiate career, going to USC. What was it like playing so close to home? And then just overall the recruitment process of getting there.
Okay, yeah. I got very lucky and was able to play with the varsity team as a freshman. And I got a lot of attention early as a freshman. The first school I talked to was USD, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go here right away because, it was the first school that showed interest in me. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to stay on the West Coast. I knew that I wanted to play close to home, and USC was one of the last schools I talked to. And the second they came to the picture, I was like, Dad, this is where I want to be. I want you guys to be able to come to every game that's at home. And so, yeah, it was a great experience and a great school rather than just baseball. The baseball was great, but the school itself was always a dream of mine to go to, so it was awesome.
Do you still watch USC sports? Are you a fan of all those?
Yes, I am a big fan of USC sports. I have a big series this week against UCLA, so hopefully they do it, but UCLA is really good too, so it should be great.
Do you miss the whole Pac-12?
I do. I mean, I wish kind of that I would have been able to travel to where they're traveling now and see those games being played on the East Coast, which we never got to do really. But yeah, I do miss seeing the head-to-heads of Washington and USC being in the Pac-12, those games like that. Yeah, I do miss it.
I can only imagine what it's like for these guys now who are getting into college and having to go play a conference game at Rutgers.
Yeah,
that
can't
across
be
the
easy.
country and then come back, go to class on Monday. I mean, how do you even pull that off?
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I was in AA, I think, with the Mets, and we played against Rutgers. I was like, is USC really about to be flying out here on a Friday night to play, Rutgers? And so I think the only way to do it logically is, maybe play a Tuesday game out there too, so you can get 4 games out on the East Coast before, going back home. But yeah, those travel days, you gotta tip your cap to those kids that are able to do that and succeed in the classroom as well. It's crazy.
You touched on it a little bit there, though, your career starting with the Mets, coming over to Seattle now, full season under your belt last year. But what was the process like of being traded? For those that don't know,
Yeah.
what fully goes into that process, the time that you find out that you're being traded?
Yeah, so I was in Buffalo, New York.
Present.
Yeah, I was in Buffalo, New York, and I was on the line getting ready for the game, and one of the coaches came out running and was like, you need to go talk to the manager in his office. And I'm like, oh no, what happened? Like, am I in trouble? Did something happen? I don't really know, because I'd never been called into a manager's office other than to be promoted. So I walk in there and he's like, hey, it's part of baseball, you just got traded to the Seattle Mariners. And I was like, oh wow. And I think that was on a Friday or Saturday, and by Monday I was in Tacoma ready to go for the Tuesday game, I think against Salt Lake. So it was cool to just get that out of the way and travel out of the way so fast so that I didn't really have time to process it. I was just like bouncing from place to place, getting all my stuff together, and then getting here, which ultimately was so good for me, and I'm so glad to be here.
How do you figure out like the logistics? Like, what do you do with all your stuff when you get traded? So I'm guessing you're in an apartment or a hotel.
Yeah,
or
I was
something.
in an apartment, and they flew me to my apartment back in Syracuse, and I got all my stuff together that I could travel on a flight with, and packed my car up, left my car there, left my car keys with the clubby in Syracuse, and they handled the shipping and stuff. So it was easy, but it was a little stressful on me just to like change my whole life in a matter of 48 hours. And then I'm, playing here at this stadium with a brand new team. Like it was really crazy. But the guys, as you guys know, that I was with, a lot of them were similar to last year in 2024 when I got traded. Those guys just immediately welcomed me, made me feel very comfortable. So it was awesome.
And how long did it take you to process? I mean, you got traded for Ryan Stanek, who was, an established big leaguer at that time, been there for a while.
Yeah.
How did you process that?
I didn't really know how to be honest with you. I had to talk to a lot of people and see if it was a good thing, a bad thing. Like, because, to be completely honest, when you get drafted by a team like the New York Mets, the New York anything, you want to make it there. And so I was kind of frustrated at the time that I didn't really get that full chance to, prove myself there. But at the same time, they were like, this is a really good thing, and Seattle's a really great place, and I've heard nothing but good things. So once I got here, I immediately was like, oh, this is really good, like this is a good thing. This is where I belong ultimately. And yeah, it just honestly was really cool to experience it.
You ended up making your major league debut last season in your first full year in this system. What was that moment like? Can you just take us through the day, what you remember of it, and was it everything that you had dreamed it would be?
Yeah, I mean, it really was, honestly. Getting to the ballpark and knowing that, it was my day to do, try to do something great and achieve a dream. And doing the pregame warm-ups, I saw one of my best friends up in the stands, like going crazy for me and hitting BP. I had another good friend of mine on the field. So it was just, and seeing my dad for the first time, it was the only time I got emotional, honestly. It was when they were calling my name and I heard my dad yelling my name on the field, and I turned around and saw him. I was like, I can't look at him. I'm going to start crying on this field. So that was like really, really, really cool to experience. And getting my first hit and looking up in the stands and seeing my family and my friends go crazy, like, it's really hard to put it into words. It's just the biggest like sigh of relief I think I could have had when that happened. And after that, I felt comfortable. It was more so I just want to get the hit,
Yep.
And Wu was throwing so well that night that I was more worried about making a mistake on defense than I was offense, because he was throwing a no-hitter going into like pretty deep. And I don't remember the inning, but it was pretty deep into the game. So I think him throwing so well helped me kind of relax, because I was so locked in on, let's just try to help him get through this game as best as possible and not make a mistake. So, yeah, it was just the perfect day.
I'm assuming you kept the baseball, right, from the hit?
I give it to my dad.
Okay.
Immediately after the game, I got it. I looked at it. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this to my dad. Like, I don't need it. He helped me get to where I am now and helped me achieve that goal. So it's his to keep.
I was going to say, you mentioned the emotion of looking at your dad. How big of a part did he play in the development of your career?
A massive part. He played in the NFL, so he knows the realm of sports very, very well. And I think that, growing up, he didn't allow me to play football early on, which is a good thing, and pushed other sports on me and allowed me to play soccer up until my senior year of high school, which was awesome because I really love playing soccer. I'm a big soccer fan. So him just allowing me, while, keeping the pressure on me with baseball, to do other things and be a kid, even though he knew my goals and what my goal is to stay in the big leagues and succeed in the big leagues. But he allowed me to just be a human being and be a kid and enjoy being an athlete that was talented, rather than, pushing things onto me to, force my I guess burned me out would be a better word to say, but he didn't burn me out. He was hard on me in a good way, in a way that a father should be, I feel like, in a way that motivated me. Even though we had our quarrels sometimes, it was all in a loving manner, so it was awesome.
See, I'm not sure we knew that your dad was
No.
was in the NFL. So
Yeah.
what's the coolest part about having a dad who was an NFL player?
Well, I got a lot of attention on me growing up because it was like, oh, he's the son of an NFL player and he didn't play football. So they're like, oh, he's good at baseball. So why is he not playing football, this and that? But he won a Super Bowl with the Rams. So that also was like a big thing. All my friends always wanted to see his ring. And, he's a very humble human being and doesn't like doing, showing off or explaining his background unless he has to, which is kind of like how I am and kind of how my family has just been raised, is just not to boast and just be humble and be thankful for everything you have. So he's very, 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 very humble, but he's done great things in his life. And so being a son of an NFL player who's won a Super Bowl and seen, amazing things and hard things and gone through the ups and downs of sports was just so, so awesome to have.
To carry on with some cool moments. You mentioned playing in Salt Lake last season. Really cool moment there towards the end of the year. Your girlfriend, an Olympian, so you got to catch a first pitch from her. What was that moment like of getting to be a part of that with her?
It was awesome, and it was so cool they allowed me to, catch the ball even though I was on the other team. But yeah, she's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. She's dedicated like no one I've ever met in any other sport. She does everything right. So it was so cool to, watch her in the Olympics and then have her come home and throw a first pitch out to me and get recognized for like the amazing woman she is, amazing athlete she is. Like, it was just really cool to see that and made me so happy. And, I didn't even care about the game that day. I was just like, I'm just so happy she's getting recognized, So it was so cool, and she deserves all that kind of stuff.
We talked about it a little bit last year. What events does she do now?
The steeplechase.
Steeplechase.
Yes,
Okay.
steeplechase.
So we asked you last year, you were going to have a race with her. Did that happen?
It did not happen. I did work on my speed in the off season in Utah. We were living together, but I could not do it. I couldn't do it. I wasn't ready to do it, and she would have dusted me probably. So I pushed it off a little bit, and the weather wasn't great. We wanted to do it outside, and the weather was not great. So that helped my case out because I didn't want to hurt something on my legs. Even though she's used to it, I'm not. So that cut me some slack on there. But yeah, she still could probably beat me, even though I give her a hard time about it. She's way faster than me. In distance, I would say. I might have her in a short burst, but over the length of a race, I think she's going to do some damage to me, unfortunately.
Okay, so we'll hold off maybe one day.
Yes.
We'll get the results of that. But you talk about it there. What's it like dating a professional athlete like that, an Olympian? Do you guys train together in the off season, or what is it day-to-day like, the competition in that?
Yeah, I mean, she is, like I said, one of the hardest working people you'll ever meet in your life. And with running comes lifting, running, swimming, all the stuff that being a distance runner comes with. And so she hooked me up with a strength coach in Utah, and we were, we wouldn't do the same lifts, but I would be in there lifting while she was lifting, so we could say hi to each other and do all the things together. But yeah, she holds me accountable, and I hold her accountable, and we do a lot of, she's working out, I'll get her a meal, or I'm working out, she's gonna make me a meal or something like that. So there's like 50, it's not 50-50, but when one of us needs the other person to, help when she's having a long day, I'll make sure dinner's there for her or whatever it is. Like, we have a very, very good balance of love, and we just got a new dog together, so that was fun in the off season to, get a golden retriever and raise her a little bit before I left to the season. So yeah, she's great. She does everything for me that you could ever ask for and takes care of me. And so yeah, it's just awesome. I love her.
Are you the chef of the household then?
No, she is. I wish I was. I try my best, but she can cook like nobody's business. She is so good, and she makes the healthiest, like, clean meals. And I'd rather not cook, honestly, because I can't do what she does. She does it so well, and she does it every night. So it's just awesome to have her.
How do you balance that, like the lifestyle of you guys both being competitors at the most elite level? Where's the dog during the season? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, so she keeps the dog at her house, obviously, in Utah, but yeah, she's traveling a lot during the season. She has very supportive, loving parents that help take care of the dog. Her family's out there, too, that help her whenever she needs. So, yeah, the community out there that she has is great. And she's coming out, actually, tomorrow for the weekend to see some games before she starts her season. I think she's going to China soon to race a couple races. So, yeah, she's going to be on the move here shortly, so I got to take advantage of seeing her. But, yeah, she goes out of her way and makes sacrifices to come see me. And thankfully, we play in Salt Lake during the season, so that really helps us, see each other and spend time together, and she gets to see me play, so it's awesome.
All right, shifting gears a little bit. You're a bit of a gamer, right? Would that be fair to say?
I'm a gamer.
What's in your rotation right now? What are you playing?
I'm playing a lot of MLB The Show.
Okay.
It just came out. I'm a grinder in that game. I play it before every game, honestly.
Really?
I do. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it gets me ready for games. I don't know why. It probably doesn't, but I love it, and I'm very competitive in that game, and I love playing with my friends and just having a good time. So right now, that's what I'm playing.
Are you playing online, or are you
online.
Road to the Show guy?
Online. No,
Okay.
Road to the Show, I don't do that, but I do play online. I got a card. I got Emerson's card. I threw
There
with
you
it.
go.
He earned that. Oh my goodness, it's a good card. So yeah, it's awesome to just see my teammates, and I have my card in the game, so it's cool to play with myself and have my friends play with me. So it's cool, like seeing all the guys and the up and down, like obviously like the ups of when they create a moment and stuff, or something like Emerson's card is like a moment card. So it's cool that he had an amazing first outing. I think it was his first outing, where he threw that amazing game, and then he gets recognized for it in a video game, and it's unhittable almost. So it's really cool to see that.
I've heard other athletes talk about, playing their respective sports video game, like, you can learn like the style of play or
for
something.
sure.
I've heard guys say that, it helps them recognize the zone a little bit. Is there any correlation to that? Because you have a great understanding of the strikes.
I mean, I would say yes. I put the screen on like the closest thing to the strike zone possible. I just track pitches. I'm like, that's a ball, that's a strike. So yeah, I think it helps me. I don't know. I was just talking about the other day. I was like, I play this every single day before the game. I don't care if it helps me or not. I'm convinced it helps me. So regardless of my eyes, I think have gotten better since playing so much. I feel like, I don't know, my girlfriend doesn't like that, but my parents probably won't like that either. But yeah, I play a lot of video games before the game. Yeah.
All right, then the one thing I need to know, if you were to play as any of your current teammates on the show, who are you picking and why?
Let's see.
This is the hardest hitter of the whole thing.
This really is because, man, I'm trying to think. Colt has a really good card. Sorry, Colt has an amazing card in the game, and he's really good. He's actually in my lineup before in 2025. So yeah, Colt probably would be the answer to that.
Does he know that?
No, he does. Oh, he knows he has a good card. Yeah, because I told him in spring, I was like, dude, your card is insane. This is like, I mean, it's one of the best cards in the game. So it's and he's earned that, which is really cool that they give him that respect. So yeah, I would say Colt for sure.
All right, well, we've got all the hard hitters now in the books. Once again, Rhylan Thomas, thanks so much for taking the time to sit down with us.
Thank you for having me.
Big thanks to Rhylan Thomas for joining us today on the Cheney Chat. That was an awesome conversation with him, and getting to learn his background and his athletic family, his dad in the NFL. Part of that Greatest Show on Turf team. What a cool wrinkle that was, and just being able to learn so many things about the other side, of off the field, packing everything in your car when you get traded, and then just leaving it there, and you come and get it later when it gets shipped. But super interesting conversation with him, and I always love talking to Ryan. It's a great time. Yeah,
he gives always great answers, a lot of insight, and I think that was the coolest part of learning about his dad playing in the NFL. And he talks about how humble he is. He's just the same, because we had no idea for all this time, and I think that just goes to show what kind of a player and a person he is.
That your dad was on one of the greatest, one of the consensus greatest sports teams to have ever existed, the Greatest Show on Turf, and he's got the ring for. I mean, how awesome is that to learn? And it's super cool. And like you said, same type of guy, because would have never known. I don't think it's written anywhere, because we do some digging on these guys, and I don't think that's anywhere out there. So super cool to hear that as well. Yeah, that would be a conversation starter, right? If you had it, I would open with that, right? Like, I would have the ring on me sometimes, Interesting stuff too. I think just learning about the dynamic, that was something that we wanted to focus on here on the Cheney Chat, is things that you might not know about them behind the scenes, day-to-day life. And I think that was an interesting thing too, just hearing about the dynamic of training with a professional athlete as a girlfriend, an Olympian, and just all that goes into that. It's really fascinating. I want to get the text when they have the race. I know. I need to know the results of the race. Maybe they do a couple. One a home to first, right? Get the 90 feet, see who wins that, and maybe we'll stretch it out a little bit and see where that line is. But I need to know what the sprint speeds are. How close are we talking? Yeah, definitely details that are important. And you know a lot about gaming. That's not so much my forte, but that was fascinating too. I think it is so interesting. When he talks about playing it every single day before the games. Yeah, and I've heard other guys say it, especially basketball too. Yeah. I think a lot of guys will play 2K to learn the style. Some teams will play, the tendencies of a player. They leave that up to the gaming developers to make sure that that's accurate. But I've heard guys say, that you get a better feel for the zone. It helps you track the pitches a little bit better. And I mean, as good of a candidate as any to learn that from, he walked more than he struck out last year. And, if you're sitting, right here to the TV
Yeah.
and you're tracking those pitches. Like, it seems like it works.
Right. No, it's super interesting stuff. And we've seen him last season, a full season here with the Seattle system, just what he can do defensively, and a huge asset, too, for us to have him back at the top of the order this year. It's been fun to watch, again, early on in this season, but off to a strong start as well.
Yeah, hitting the ball well, made a diving catch
Yep.
last night on what was Thursday, recording this on
Yeah.
Friday. I mean, it feels like he catches everything. So super fun player to watch. Great dude. Always a good time to hang out with him.
As we look ahead to this upcoming week, currently playing El Paso at the time that we're recording this, but this will go out next week when the team is in Sugar Land. It's our first 6-game series on the road, and Sugar Land, a team that we're excited to see here early on.
And a trip you're excited to get out of the way early in the season.
Pumped that we're going to Sugar Land in April. It's
not
going to be
97 degrees at first pitch,
No.
and it'll be cool and relaxed. Get the far
Yeah.
ones out of the way early.
Yeah, no, it should be a great time, and the team is off to a strong start already. And of course, a great group here back in Tacoma to start out 2026. But Rhylan Thomas, a big thanks to him for being our guest here in episode 2. We'll continue to have these episodes for you twice a month coming out when the team is on the road, so that you can stay up to date with everything that is happening across the Tacoma Rainiers.
Because 9 innings
season.
isn't enough.
Never enough. Once again, for Andy Helwig, I'm Rylee Faye. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's edition of the Cheney Chat.